Thank you. That's what I was about to look for. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I know some people will still be jumping on. My name is Bobby Morris. I'm the Director of College and Career Readiness. And Audra?
I'm Audra Rowell, and I'm the Advanced Academics Coordinator for the district.
So Audra and I will be going over some of the advanced academics topics that we think are of interest to you. And hopefully we'll cover a lot of your questions. We'll just kind of jump back and forth between the two of us and maybe jump in on one another every once in a while to add a little bit to the conversation. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I would ask that you please not put your questions in a private chat to me or Audra, because usually your questions are questions that everybody has, and it just makes it easier to answer when it's available for everybody to see, rather than trying to type to a bunch of individual people. And then Audra or I will try to interrupt and ask one another questions that pop in along the way. I think it says that on the next slide too. But I also wanted to introduce you to two other people that work very closely with the College and Career Readiness Department. They are Habiba Lalani and Melissa Furlow. Habiba and Melissa, I tell people, they are the left and right side of my brain. They are amazing. They help me out so much. I've got one that is at Habiba is at Eaton High School, and Melissa is at Byron Nelson High School, and then both of them share Northwest High School. So they will be at Northwest High School on Tuesdays and Thursdays, alternating. And then on the side here, you can see a list of just some of the things that Habiba and Melissa can help out with. They truly are great. Feel free to reach out to them. Feel free to reach out to me or Audra. We are here to help. So if there's something you need, don't just wonder. Let us help you with it. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to cover several topics, and I tried to put things in a logical order, but every time I look at it, I see something that I think, oh, this should be here instead. So if the logical order doesn't work perfectly, it's because Habiba and Melissa didn't do it, and I had to do it with my brain all by myself. So I appreciate your patience with me. So we want to start out with getting started in advanced academics, and Audra, I'll let you take this one.
Okay.
Because I think you're stronger on this one than I am.
Yeah, so advanced academics, it's like a really big, big topic, as you can see by the agenda. There's lots of little things that make up advanced academics. And one of those pieces is really starts in middle school, and that's the idea of what we are now going to be calling honors classes. If you have students already in middle or high school, or you've had students before in those grades, you might have heard it called pre-AP. And next school year, we are actually moving away from that name of pre-AP, and it will be called honors. It'll still be the same course, the same curriculum, the same resources. It's just a name change. And really, it's a great place to start for kids to start building a skill set and really confidence, so that when the opportunities of AP and dual credit and on-ramps become available in the upper grades, they feel a little bit more, confident and ready to tackle those classes. We do start honors classes in the 6th grade. So if we have any 5th grade parents joining us, this is something you definitely want to think about for your student for next year. But kids, if maybe you have a 7th or 8th grader and they haven't done any honors or pre-AP classes, it is never too late. They can always jump in. We have honors in all 4 of the content areas: ELA, science, social studies, and math. And really what those classes are about is what our teachers and our curriculum teams have done is, as they've said, okay, so you might take AP English as a junior. And when you are in AP English as a junior, these are the things that you're going to have to be able to do. And so what our curriculum writers and teachers have done is they've said, this is where the kids are going to be when they're in AP classes. What can we do before they even get to AP classes to be more successful? So they've taken a lot of the strategies and some of the same terminology that you would find in an AP class, and they've brought it down to earlier grades so that kids can become, familiar with them and start to practice those strategies. So like I said, when they walk into those AP classes, they're like, oh yeah, like I totally remember doing this. Like an example that I always think of is there's a strategy in English classes called soapstone. And I don't remember all of what it stands for, but I know it has to do with analyzing poetry. Well, we actually introduced that in the middle school years, and the kids are able to practice it every year. And so that just really primes them for success when they get to that AP class. And that's what I would say are all four of the content classes and honors are like that. The one that's a little bit different is math, because let's say you have a student who's going to be a sixth grader and they take sixth grade, math, then they go seventh grade and eighth grade, they all take pre-algebra, where in ninth grade, they take algebra 1. That's the traditional pathway. But for our honors or, formerly pre-AP, we've actually accelerated so that a sixth grader who wants to go the honors route, their math class is actually going to be a 6-7 compacted class where they're doing all of the sixth grade standards and most of the seventh grade standards. And then in seventh grade, they are finishing up the seventh grade standards and doing the eighth grade standards. So by the time they're in eighth grade, they're actually taking Algebra 1 and getting high school credit. And that puts them on the pathway to do AP Calculus their junior and senior year. And that's the one exception where we accelerate in honors. Everything else, it's really more about the strategy and developing the skill set. And so that's honors in a nutshell.
Thank you, Audra. One of the things that we want to make sure we do is introduce the idea of advanced academics and really the idea of college and career readiness to our students as early as possible. So you're going to start seeing us try to reach into the elementary schools a little bit and just pique their interest. It's not that we're asking our elementary students to pick their college major. But we want to open up the doors for them and say, hey, look, here's some ideas. So I think you'll start seeing, at least probably starting next year, you'll start seeing fifth graders get emails or letters or flyers and stuff in the mail about our academies. Just talking about the different academies we have and talking about the early college, high school, and stuff like that to help get them used to that. And one of the things that we've done to kind of help with this is we've got our initiative called T2M4.
Bobby, can I stop you for a minute?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
check your volume? I think you might be a little low.
I can try. I'm not quite sure how to do that. Test, test, test.
Or use your teacher voice.
Test, test, test.
Oh yeah.
You hear that?
Say something again.
Testing, testing.
I think that's better.
Test, test, test.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to use my teacher voice a little bit here too. So one of the pieces that we've started introducing, and we really started this a few years ago, is T2M4, and it's the idea that every student has to make a choice at some point. They're going to get a technical certification. They're going to go to a 2-year college and get a 2-year degree or a 2-year certificate. They're going to join the military. They're going to get a 4-year or beyond. I've been calling it now T2M4 plus because there actually is more beyond that 4. But we really do believe that no matter what you choose, you're going to end up choosing at least one, if not all 4 of these. Because even if you're working at a restaurant, you're going to get ServSafe certifications and things like that to make sure that you're handling food appropriately. So in that regard, we've also created some superheroes. We've got, you see on here, the two is represented by Daniel Daniels, and each of them have their own little resume and their hero origin story and stuff. So we've got, for T, it's Tiffany Turnbull. For 2, it's Daniel Daniels. For M, it's Mario Mendoza. And 4 is Summer Sims. In true superhero fashion, their names are alliterative. So this is the T2M4 team. Hopefully you'll see that around more. And we hope to have a little game that goes along with it eventually too, where the kids can collect these trading cards. And then there's one that's blank, where it's for them, and it says you can choose your own future. So I'm kind of excited about that. It's just kind of a cute little way to reach to our younger students. As we jump in and start talking about advanced academics, one of the questions we get most often, it seems like, is what does the ranking look like? Now, what I'm showing you here is our newest ranking system. It's for our students who are 9th through 11th grade right now in high school. So our seniors are on a different ranking system than you see, because we started making our dual credit and on-ramps classes on level 4, starting with the freshman year in 2018. So it kind of grew with that freshman class. That way we didn't change the rules on anybody during the process. But you can see most of our just normal, what we might say our on-level classes are level 2. And then your GT and honors classes are level 3. And then AP, dual credit, and on-ramps are level 4 classes. And you can see how, like, if with a 99 in a level 4 class, the grade points that you get for that is a 6.9. In a level 3 class, it's a 5.9. Level 2 is a 4.9. So that's how that GPA piece works. Now, I do want to stress that the weighted GPA is used only for class rank in Northwest ISD, and many colleges strip the weighted GPA off when they're looking at that for student admissions and stuff. So they really care about that unweighted GPA, but we use that for rank. So when we're looking for top 10 and stuff, that's the pieces we're going for. I want to show you 2 things about the CCR website, because I really want to encourage you to go there and take advantage of it. We've been trying to do some updating and making it a little bit easier to navigate, because I realized that you almost have to think like me to find things in the website, and that's a scary idea. So what I'd like to do is just point out the menu bar on the side here. You'll see we've got AP, dual credit, and on-ramps. So if you've got questions or if you're interested in any of those, you can just click right there. There's one about testing that we'll talk about: TSI, SAT, ACT. The T2M4 is really just college readiness, military readiness. So it breaks down what those elements are. There's parent education that you can click on to learn more about the parent education pieces that we offer in ISD, adult and community education pieces, and then our presentations and webinars. You can also get to those presentations and webinars down here at the bottom. Another piece is these arrows here, or these icons here. Each of those lead to a web page. So if you click on those, they'll take you to the same type of site. And then, of course, these virtual presentations down here will take you to our Google site, which is the next slide I want to show you. On our Google site, we've got a navigation bar that you can go through, and I think it's laid out pretty logically. If you want to learn about FAFSA and TAFSA, you can just click on that, and there's videos. There's a great resource that goes question by question, number by number for FAFSA that helps you answer those questions. So it's wonderful. I truly hope you'll take advantage of that site. So with all of that said, one of the pieces that you're starting to probably hear about, especially if you've got a high schooler, is the TSIA. TSI is, it stands for Student Success Initiative. And the purpose of TSI is that's how colleges determine college readiness for students. Are they ready to take the college level English and math classes? So they ask students to take this. This is Texas colleges only. So if you've got a student who's going to go out of state, they don't need to worry about the TSI. They need to focus on the SAT and PSAT. In fact, everybody needs to focus on the SAT and PSAT And then the TSI is just consider that like an add-on piece that they need in addition to those. If they want to take dual credit, they have to take the TSI. Well, it's two parts now. It's just ELAR and mathematics. They have to take those. Depending on what class they want to take, they may have to pass it, or they may not have to pass it. It just kind of depends on the class. But that's outlined in our course selection guide. But they all have to take both parts for dual credit. We find that a lot of kids, like if they're accepted to Tarleton, they may come back and say, hey, Tarleton wants me to take the TSI. That's great. Go ahead and take it through us. The nice thing about taking the TSI through Northwest is it's free. But when you take it through the college, they charge as much as $20 a section. So you could be looking at $40 to $60 for taking the TSI at the college. So take advantage of being in high school while you're there and take that test. If you don't pass it, it comes with some tutorials that help go over the areas where you were weak, so you can build up your strengths in those areas as well. So it's a great little test, but definitely not a blow-off test at all. This is how it's scored. On the mathematics test, you have to get a 950 to a 990 to be considered college ready. Or if you don't score in that area, they're going to put you in a diagnostic test that's another 48 questions. And if you do well in the diagnostic and score a level 6, then that will mark you as college ready. And the same thing is kind of true with English. It's 945 to 990, and they have to have an essay score of 5 through 8. But if they don't score in the 945 to 990 range, it's going to jump them into the diagnostic test. If they do well on the diagnostic, it will jump them to the essay. If they don't do well on the diagnostic, they won't even see the essay. They'll have to wait until they start over and take it again before they see the essay, and they've got to do better. But then once they do that, the diagnostic, again, can help redeem their score so they can earn that college readiness. Audrey, am I speaking loud enough?
I think so. I think you are. You're
Okay.
my end. And no one, oh, someone's just said it is a little hard to understand you.
Okay. I just don't know how to turn it up any louder. Let's see what this does. I think that's just going to turn you all up. But we'll try it.
Okay.
That tells me that's a good excuse for me to buy an external microphone for my home computer. So it won't help for tonight, but I will have one for the next one, I bet. This is ACT and SAT, and it just shows you what SAT and ACT scores are needed to be exempt from the TSI for Tarrant County College for dual credit and for most colleges. So you see ACT, you need that composite score of a 23 and a math score and English score of 19. And for SAT, it's a 530 in math and a 480 in the evidence-based reading and writing. Audrey, you want to take this one and I'll play with my speaker some more?
Yeah, definitely. So one of those things that falls under advanced academics is the idea of advanced placement, or we call them AP for short. And that's the program that's through the College Board. It's been around for like 50, 60 years. Some of you guys might have taken AP classes back in high school, and it's definitely evolved over the years. We actually offer, I think around 25 AP classes every year across the 4 high schools. And really what it is it's kids are in a high school class with a high school teacher, but the curriculum they're following is college level, what you would typically take, your first or second year at a university. And all throughout the year, they're preparing to take an AP exam that's at the end of the school year, usually the first couple of weeks in May. And if a student does well on an AP exam, they have the potential to earn college credit from the college they end up going to. You can get a score of a 1 through a 5. Yes, I am hearing echo. That's why I paused a minute. I don't know, maybe Bobby, you click something. Um, oh, I think the echo's gone. Yay.
Can you hear me though?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, sorry, on an AP test, a student can get a 1 through a 5, and a 3 through 5 is considered passing. And that's where most colleges, especially if it's a public university in Texas, they have to take a 3 or higher and give you credit. Now, what kind of credit? It could be for a major, it could be as an elective credit, but that's what's considered passing. And like I said, we offer probably 20 something different AP classes in the 4 core areas, but also actually these are all the ones that we offer. So you can see not just in the core areas, but in some electives, Spanish, some computer science, and the fine arts. So kids have lots of options when it comes to AP courses. And it's, like I said, it's a course where they're studying and doing college level work all year long, which that by itself is great preparation for college. But if they sit for the exam, that's even, better practice. And then of course, scoring well is the ultimate. But even if a student doesn't take the exam, just sitting through the course is really great preparation for college classes. And then to add it to your college transcript, because of course, the college your student ends up going to, they may not know that they took AP US history. So you have to have them be sent from College Board to, the college that your student's planning on attending. There could be a cost. And some colleges will charge to add the scores to your transcript. Like, I think that's what happened with Bobby's daughter a few years ago. Right, Bobby? Isn't that what you said about like her art history class or something?
Yes, for all of her AP classes that she wanted added to her transcript, we had to pay, I want to say it was like $75 or something. I mean, it wasn't outrageous, but it was a surprise. We didn't expect to have to pay for it.
Yeah. So there is that little, possible cost. And again, like the grade on the AP exam, it determines what credit you earn for college and how that credit is applied. And that is very much dependent on the school that your student goes to and what their major is. Calculus is a really good example. A lot of kids, who want to go the engineering route, they usually take AP Calculus. They do well. They get that college credit. They send it to their college. A&M is a good example. Lots of kids go there because their engineering program is so incredible. But A&M says, okay, you're going to be an engineer and we're going to train you in all the ways. We need you to take our calculus. So that happens sometimes with AP classes, where the kids take the exam and get the credit, but maybe it becomes an elective credit. It's still giving them, really good practice and good experience, but those are some things you just kind of want to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, there are definitely colleges that will say, great, you took all these AP exams, but we're not going to give you anything for it. The story I always tell, we had a student at Northwest High School years ago, brilliant kid, took every AP exam that he could take, made 5s on all of them, went to MIT, and MIT said, congratulations, but we don't give you credit for any of your AP exams. But hey, he went to MIT, so he's okay. But that does happen.
And here's some more of those pros and the cons. One of the greatest cons is that it's our Northwest teachers. They're teaching the class. They have great training from the College Board, and so the College Board really works with them on how do you create a syllabus for a college level class. It follows our grading guidelines. It does have a higher weight. Definitely in terms of communication with students and parents, it's an NISD teacher. And, like we said, most public and private universities across the country, they know AP and they're going to accept it in some form or fashion. you know, like everything, there's a couple, you know, cons too. It's you get credit not on the work you do throughout the year, but on that test at the end of the school year. So for a student who has a lot of test anxiety, you know, that's really something to think about. But if you know, rock it, like you're great on that one test, then this would be a great thing for you. This passing standard is set after the tests are graded. They get all the kids in and they're scored, and it's, you know, kind of norm based on how kids that year. We've talked about how the credit's going to vary by college. Students sometimes have a tendency to take too many AP courses because it is a lot of, you know, work. It's college coursework. And, you know, when you're in college, they tell you take 12 hours. Well, that's 4 classes. And some of our students may take 4 or 5 or 6 AP classes in 1 year. And that's on top of all their other things that they're doing as like high school juniors and seniors. So part of our purpose in this presentation is helping students and parents find that balance in how many AP should I take, how many duals, how many on levels, you know, because the AP classes are great, but you know, our social emotional well-being of our kiddos is important too. So we don't want it to be overwhelming for our kids.
And am I muted? No.
Nope, you're good.
And ultimately, we don't want our kids taking classes that they don't need when they go to college. You know, and the example I always give is my own daughter. When she went to UT, she went there as an engineering major. She had AP. Audrey, help me out. What's that freshman level history class?
Human geography.
Yeah, thank you. AP Human Geography. So she has AP Human Geography. She had AP European History, those classes, and she made 5s on them. So, you know, great. But when she went to add those to her transcript, UT said, we will gladly take your money and add these to your transcript and apply them as electives, but you don't need them for your major. So they're just using up electives that you will want to take other things for. So we didn't pay to have those added to her transcript. Now, after being at UT for a while, she decided, you know what, engineering, that's not my jam. And she decided to follow in her mom and dad's footprints, and she switched over to art history and history. Well, then all of a sudden, those 2 history AP classes mattered. And so she went back and had College Board send those scores to UT, and they added them to her transcript, and boom. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things where you don't want to take classes that you don't need, but you also don't really know where you're going to end up. Because I think if we could do a hand poll of everybody in this meeting and ask just how many of you graduated from college with the same major that you started out with, we'd find that there weren't a whole lot of those. You know, for example, my college degree is in church ministries, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing college and career readiness, because through, you know, after getting my bachelor's degree, I went on and got a master's in education, and that moved me into a different direction. So that happens with life, and we want to make sure that we've got some flexibility there as well. I forgot there was some animation on that.
No.
Oops. So the next one is dual credit. Dual credit is when students take a college class through TCC and they're getting college credit and high school credit for that class. So in a dual credit class, they're getting the same grade for high school that they earn in the college class. And I want to stress that, because there's a difference when we move on to on-ramps. But in dual credit, the grade they get in their college class is the grade they get in their high school class. That grade goes on their college transcript and it goes on their high school transcript. So that's very important to keep in mind. Dual credit requires the TSI. TCC requires that students take all of the TSI before they can take a dual credit class. So dual credit grades and transcripts. My caution with dual credit grades is that transcript that you create for college is your college transcript forever. You know, we talk about permanent record. That's kind of like the joke that you see on the sitcoms. Something's going to go on your permanent record. There's no such thing in K-12 education, except maybe your high school transcript. Your permanent record is your college transcript, because that's going to be the one that you send when you decide to work on your master's or your doctorate. You're going to send your undergraduate transcripts to the college. That's going to be the one that some of your employers are going to ask to see. So you're going to be showing that college transcript for years and years to come. So it's really important to make sure that if you're going to commit to a dual credit class, you're committing to a dual credit class, because if your grade drops, it's going to affect that transcript and that final outcome. And if you want to go into grad school, often a grad school is going to require that you have at least a 3.0 or a 3.5 in your undergrad. Well, if you messed up in dual credit classes and you're going into your 4-year college with a 2.0, it's a long hill to climb to get that 2.0 up to a 3.0 or a 3.5. So, we just want to make sure that students go into that aware they're creating a transcript that exists forever. The one caveat to that is some colleges will transfer grades or transfer courses as pass fail. They won't transfer the grade or the GPA. So you really need to just talk to your 4-year college and see what they're going to do with transfers. So pros and cons of dual credit. I talked a little bit about this. So I'm not going to read this whole slide to you. I do want to point out the second bullet on the pros side, the cost of dual credit. If you're a Tarrant County resident, a dual credit class is $64 an hour. If you're a non-Tarrant County resident, it's $126 an hour. That kills me. I wish I could change that. I beg them every year, but I also understand why Tarrant County residents pay taxes for Tarrant County College every year. So I do understand why that comes in. It also hurts to know that I've got 2 kids sitting in the same class next to each other at the same school, and one paid double what the other one paid. Another thing to keep in mind is grading practices vary by teacher. They are not NISD grading practices. And so where Northwest may say, yeah, you can have a retest, dual credit may say, nope, it's one shot and you're done. Some of you remember when you were in college, you might have taken a midterm and a final exam, and that was all your grades for that class. You don't have all of those formative grades to help build up your average and stuff. And so college classes can do that. The other piece is they can't talk to parents about students or students' grades. Even if they are Northwest ISD teachers teaching a college class, they can't talk to parents about grades unless the student has signed a waiver giving them permission to do that. So that's one of the things we certainly encourage our students to do, because you're footing the bill for your kids. I know from experience, you want to have at least a peek of how they're doing in classes. The next piece, Audra, go ahead.
We have a couple of questions.
Okay.
About the TSI.
Okay.
Since we're in the dual world right now. The first question is, when do we as a district, when do we offer that test?
So the TSI is an on-demand test. We did offer it back in October with our Testapalooza, when we did just a bunch of different testing. We did offer it there, but there's a sign up on the dual credit webpage. If you just click on the testing, it'll take you to the TSI, click on that, and there's a place where they can sign up to take it. Students can take it online one of 2 ways. If they've got a laptop, a Mac, or desktop or something that's got a camera and a microphone, they can take it from home at a time they schedule that's convenient for them online. If they're going to use their Chromebook, they can still take it from home, but they have to take it at a time that we have a proctor available. So we've got some dates. So when they fill out that Google form, they tell us which option they're choosing. And if they choose the Chromebook option, then it directs them to a Sign Up Genius where they pick what test date they want, and we create the voucher and walk them through that process. But it's an on-demand test. Like I said, it's free. So I definitely encourage students to take it. The math is heavy math is heavy algebra 2. So I really recommend, if you're going to take the math, that you have Algebra 2 already, or that you're really strong in math, or that you're planning to take some dual credits that don't have math as a prerequisite. So you may take the math but not pass it, but you can still take those dual credit classes. So usually, like your English classes, your social studies classes, you can still take those if you haven't passed the math. Was
And
there
then
another one?
how many times can they take the TSI? Like maybe they don't do really well the first time. Like, can they take it again like a month later or?
Yes. So technically, it's unlimited. You can take it as many times as you want. However, every time you take it is costing us money. So since we don't charge the students that $20 a test, it's costing us. It doesn't cost us $20. We get a wholesale price. So we don't want to make money off the students and charge them for it. But we also don't want to just continue, spending money until a student is prepared for the test. So typically, I would say take it once. If you don't pass it, go through the tutorials that are built into it, and then take it again when you feel like you've studied and you're ready to go. If you don't pass it the second time, we've got some uh, more guided tutorials that we can put students into, that are online, that just kind of walk them through, and they would have to complete that, and then we would let them take it a third time. Now I say that 2 times, and then you're going to have to take the class. We do have some students that tested last summer and some this year where we've not held them to that, just because of the weirdness of COVID. And sometimes we've been like, okay, we're going to have to go ahead and try to get you tested. The other thing is, we would normally offer testing during the school day and on Saturdays and stuff, face-to-face testing. But we've limited that. We're doing a little bit of it, but we're limiting that a little bit more because of COVID. So as we start to get back to normal, I think you'll start seeing some more just face-to-face testing dates open up as well. But I am excited that we can offer it online. So did I answer your questions? Did something else pop up, Audra?
Yeah, we're having a great, some great things are coming up in the chat. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then I think some of the other things might come up as we continue. But one of the questions is, like, if dual credit and AP are both college level, are they really at the same level of difficulty, or is there a difference between like a dual credit class versus an AP versus like the on-ramps that I think you're about to talk about?
That's a great question, and the answer depends on who you ask. But since you asked me, um, I'm going to say that AP, on-ramps, and dual credit are equal in their quality, but their expectations are not always equal. AP, for example, is preparing you for a test. You hear on the news, schools teach to the test, schools teach to the test, and we say we don't. With AP, we are teaching to a test. We are trying to get kids ready, because it all depends on that one test that they take in May, whether they get the college credit. Dual credit, what I like about that is its work ethic. A kid knows how they're doing in the class as the class progresses, and they can see if they're on track to make an A, B, C, D, F, where they stand. So that I think that's a huge difference between the two, but it doesn't make dual credit easier than AP. It just makes it different. And on-ramps, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, on-ramps is just like dual credit in that regard. It's that work ethic piece. But I will tell you, in on-ramps classes, you are getting the exact same curriculum that UT Austin students are getting in their classes in Austin. It's not watered down because it's a dual credit class that high school kids are taking. It is the exact same curriculum. And I will tell you, UT Austin is a tier 1 school. Their standards are as high as can be. And, one of the things that blew me away when my daughter went through it was, you can make a 92 in a class, and that's a B. You know, and it depends. I mean, it truly depends on the class and the teacher and how they choose to grade it. So, you know, that's something important to keep in mind. They are all good quality, and that's why we weighted them all equally, but they do have different purposes. You know, and especially like AP is accepted all over the world. Dual credit is guaranteed to be accepted at public colleges in Texas. And on-ramps, the same thing. They're guaranteed at public colleges in Texas. Most state colleges and private colleges outside of Texas will accept the classes they take, but not all of them. For example, AP Texas Government, if you're in Arizona, or not, I'm sorry, not AP, dual credit Texas Government, if you're in Arizona, they don't care that you've got Texas Government. They're going to make you take Arizona Government. That's how it works. They want you to learn that Arizona became a state in 1912. I know that because I took Arizona Government. On-ramps, as I said, is just like dual credit in that it's that quality of work. It's dual enrollment though. And that distinction is really significant because where in dual credit, the grade you get in the college class is the grade you get in the high school class. In dual enrollment, you're getting two separate grades. So that a student could have a B in their high school class and an A in their college class, or vice versa. They're doing some work that's just for high school, so that's your work that's helping build up your knowledge and all of that, and then you're doing some work that's just for the college, so it might be an essay that they're writing or a test that they're writing. So there's going to be fewer assignments that are graded for the college and more assignments for the high school, so those grades won't necessarily be the same. College transcripts are also unique with on-ramps. I tell people on-ramps is the ultimate mulligan in college life. There is no other place that I know of where you get to take a college class, see your grade at the end of the term, and say, yes, I want to accept that grade, and it goes on your transcript. Or, no, I don't want to accept that grade, and they tear it up, and it's as if it never happened. No transcript is created, and you get to start over fresh and take that class brand new again. You know, that is really the ultimate mulligan. And if you say, no, I don't want this college grade, you still get the high school grade. You can't say no to the high school grade, but you can say no to the college grade. The important note is to remember that decision is permanent. They give them a 5-day window to make that decision. And when that 5th day is up, whatever their decision is whatever they have checked is what their decision is, and they can't change their mind. So that's an important thing to remember too. Another thing that I want to mention is that with dual credit and with on-ramps, if you're going to go to another college, you're going to have a transcript from TCC and UT Austin, especially if you take a mix of the two. So you'll need to remember that you're going to be ordering transcripts from 2 different colleges to be sent to your 4-year college or wherever you're going to go. So that's something to keep in mind as well. It's not typically a problem, but it is something to keep in mind. Audra, did that bring up any questions before I move on to pros and cons of on-ramps?
Yeah, a couple of on-ramps questions is what is the cost like for on-ramps?
Oh, great question. I'm glad you asked it. On-ramps is $149 per course. So most of our courses they're full year courses. And then you pay in the first semester. Your first semester is kind of like your TSI semester. You're earning the ability to earn the college credit your second semester. And so you take that first semester and they're building up your knowledge and your ability to do it. And then your second semester, you're earning the college credit, but you pay the $149 in the first semester, and it covers the full year. The exception to that is our English and social studies classes. Both of those classes are a different course each semester. So first semester of English is English 1301, so Comp 1, and the second semester is English 1302, Comp 2. So in that case, it's $149 first semester and another $149 second semester. Free and reduced students, they drop the price to $99. And right now we've got some grant money that drops that price to $25 a course for students who are who qualify for free and reduced. So it's a really good deal. It's the cheapest of the two dual credit like options because even at $149, that's cheaper than $64 for 3-hour classes. $64 times 3. But it is a little bit more expensive than AP. I'm taking that AP exam. So, there's that piece to consider as well. I think that all three are great options though. Here's my pros and cons list. I think a huge pro for on-ramps is that they get to experience the level of curriculum that the college is giving. And, like I said, that is UT level curriculum. The negative, I would say, is that it can be overwhelming. It's not unusual for a student to be in an on-ramps class and they take that first college test in late September, early October, and they hit a wall. They're used to making A's on everything, and suddenly they've made a C. And we talk about this curve that happens with them. Well, they hit that curve and it gets down. They're feeling low, but if we can get them to hang on, usually they'll come back up and things will be okay. So that's something important to know, though. There is that wall that comes up, and it's painful, but it's okay. It's an okay wall to hit. And honestly, I'd rather our students learn to struggle when they're in high school than get to college and not know how to handle that struggle, because then they're away from their family, they're away from their comfort zone and their friends, and they hit that struggle, and that's a scary place to be. And I experienced that as a parent too. When my daughter hit that wall, she had never struggled before, and she's in Austin and we're in Fort Worth. And as she's struggling and going to bed every night crying and thinking that she's going to fail out of college, we can't be there to comfort her. We can talk to her on the phone and stuff. So, I wish she had hit that wall when she was in high school so we could have helped her manage through it. And some kids don't do as well as my daughter did at managing through it. Some of them don't make it through it. And that's the biggest heartbreak.
So Bobby, there's a couple of really good observations and thoughts in the chat. And honestly, it's things that you and I talk about all the time.
Mhm.
Okay, these are three really great options: AP, dual credit, dual enrollment. How do we know which direction to go? How does one student decide to go this way, but another student might be going this way, especially when you factor in when somebody talked about wanting to be in the top 10% because of course, if someone's wanting to go to someplace like UT Austin where they have to be in the top 6%, it's very competitive when we start thinking about college admissions. And as parents, you guys may not want your child to take 6 AP classes their junior year, but they're like, but mom, I got to do it for my rank so I can get into UT, so how do we tackle that? How do we figure out, okay, take this AP, but take this dual, but take this, and fight that battle of rank and in college admissions?
That is the hardest question.
Yeah.
And it's unique to every student. My gut response to this, and I want to make that clear. This is just my off the cuff gut response. If you're a student who loves English, you are just, English is your thing. That was me. I loved reading and writing and storytelling and all of that. I love words on a page and the way they look and stuff like that. If you love that, AP is your route, because that's going to build that love and give you that freedom to explore and dig in deeper. If English isn't your strength, then dual credit or on-ramps might be your route. And I would say really they're kind of equal in that regard. One thing that's really great about on-ramps is it's our teachers, Northwest ISD teachers, teaching the class, and they're good teachers. Some of them are our AP teachers, and they're also teaching an on-ramps class. Regardless, they're getting amazing training. They go to Austin. Well, this summer they did it virtually, but typically they go to Austin for 2 weeks. They go through the curriculum with UT. They do follow-up training every summer and every spring, and then every fall and spring, and then every summer they go back to Austin for another week of training. So on-ramps is our teachers. They are highly trained, and they've got that connection with the kids. Dual credit doesn't have that, but I would say, as far as if I'm choosing between the two, if I want to go with the teacher I know and be comfortable with them, I would choose on-ramps. If you choose dual credit, you're more likely to be in an online class than you are a face-to-face. So it kind of depends there on how you want to learn as well. We've got very few face-to-face dual credit classes. We've got a college math option at Byron and one at Eaton, but that's all of our face-to-face at the 3 comprehensive high school campuses. Everything else is online unless they do on-ramps. So I hope that helps a little bit. I truly would say, though, that's a great conversation to have with your counselor. You can rope me and Audra into that as well. And even Melissa and Habiba, we would love to help talk through that with your student, because you're right, that is a difficult decision to make. And it is such a huge decision.
And so really, it sounds like what you were saying, Bobby, is thinking about what subject is really a student's passion. Like, it's kind of the thing that I can't wait for this class every day. Then that's when they might want to think about the AP route, right? So if they're a math person, maybe they're going to do AP calculus and AP statistics, right? Or if they're social studies, they're going to take AP US history and AP human. But then if they're not a math person, they might go like a different route.
Yeah, and if they know they want to go to college out of state, they want to go to Stanford, they're going to try for Yale or Harvard or Vanderbilt, any of those out of state colleges, they should choose the AP route. And I hate to keep using personal examples, but since I lived through it just so recently, when we went to Vanderbilt to tour, that was one of the questions I asked. Is it better to do AP dual credit, and how does your grade affect it? If you take an AP class and make a B, is it better to take that AP and make a B, or take an on level and make an A? And Vanderbilt's response was, your best bet is to take an AP class and make an A. So which didn't help me at all, because I expected that's what they would say, and that's exactly what they said. So the answer really is it depends. It truly depends. I'm going to show you a slide here towards the end of the presentation that kind of breaks down how things fit in the core curriculum, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So that might help. It might just create more questions for you too. Audra, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, one more. I'm going to skim again, but one question is, okay, because I know we have parents of 8th graders in here. They're probably already freaking out a little bit. I hope we haven't freaked out a little bit more, but does an 8th grader have to decide this spring, like what the next 4 years are like in terms of AP dual or on-ramps? Are they making that decision right now, or is that a decision that they can tweak every spring when it's time to enroll for new classes?
So they are creating a 4-year plan now, but it's just a plan. Their plan can be tweaked every year, and they can change it. We've got a lot of 8th grade students who are ready to go into high school, and they want to take dual credit their freshman year. I don't recommend that. There's not a lot of dual credit options that they can take their freshman and sophomore year. And I'll show you that later too. Dual credit is really designed for 11th and 12th grade. There are a few, but then there's part of me that says, let your 8th grader go into high school and get used to high school. It's a completely different world. And the 8th grader, the 9th grader that starts in high school will not be the same human being that finishes 9th grade in high school. They change so much. So I would say give them some time to change and to grow. If they want to push themselves a little bit, AP Human is a great place to start. The test is shorter than most of the tests. Um, Kids typically do pretty well on it. It's a great introduction to the AP world for their freshman year. And it sets them on a good, strong GPA path too. But let them be kids also. We good, Audra?
Yeah.
Okay.
There.
This next slide, I just threw it in here because I wanted to mention concurrent enrollment. If a student wants to get their associate's degree while they're in high school, they're going to have to take 18 hours of college classes beyond the core 42, what we probably used to call the basics. That's the core 42. They're going to have to take an extra 18 hours because they need 60 hours. And those classes usually won't count for anything for high school. So that's considered concurrent credit. So they're taking a college class just because they're taking a college class, but they're not getting any high school credit for it at all. So that's one of the pieces that students end up doing. And then the transcript considerations are exactly the same as dual credit, though, other than it doesn't affect your high school credit. Pros and cons. Again, like dual credit, it's less expensive to take concurrent credit than it is to go off to college. But a huge con is it doesn't have the safety nets that Northwest ISD has in place grade-wise. It's just like college, just like dual credit in that case. So y'all already asked this, and we kind of talked about this, which is right for me. And what we put here is that most students find that they want to do a combination of all three. And that's great. I mean, we're absolutely fine with that. That's the nice thing is the honors classes will prepare you for any one of them. What I do want to say though is that if you take on-ramps pre-cal, you're getting college pre-cal credit for that class if you pass it. On-ramps pre-cal is not preparing you for AP calculus. So at that point, you would do better to move on into another on-ramps class than to try to jump over into AP calculus. Unless you're a strong math student, then you might want to do that. But on-ramps is preparing you for the college credit while you're in the class, whereas not pre-AP now, honors class, like honors pre-cal, would be preparing you for that AP test. So that's the difference between those two. I've talked a few times about the core curriculum. This is what it looks like and how many hours you have to have in each of those areas. If you do the math real quick, you'll see this adds up to 41, not 42. The reason is there's a 1 hour kinesiology class that students have to take as part of the core to be core complete. But we can't give them high school credit for that PE class. And that's state rules. And it came about because they had kids taking that PE class to get extra practice time for football and baseball and things like that. And so for UIL purposes, they just said, nope, you can't offer dual credit. That doesn't mean a kid can't take it, but we can't give them high school credit for it. And they do still need it. So definitely a class worth taking. So this last slide, and we're gonna share this slideshow with you. This last slide has three, I think, valuable links on it. And I'm not going to open this one. This is the academic planning guide, though, and it's the whole academic planning guide. But I wanted to draw your attention to page 32. Page 32 takes that core curriculum and breaks it up and shows what classes we offer in on-ramps and dual credit that match with those areas. It doesn't have the AP on it because most people understand AP line by line. Dual credits where they get kind of confused. So that's the academic planning guide. The next is dual credit with the high school equivalents. So basically it's this page 32 with telling you what each class counts as. And then this last one is all academic, all advanced academics. I'm going to open that and hopefully this follows me. So here you can see that in English, they need 6 hours for college. They can get 3 hours from English 1301 dual credit and English 1302, 3 hours. So that gets them their 6 hours. Or they could do on-ramps 1301 and 1302, and they get their 6 hours. They could do AP language, and depending on their score on that AP test, they might get the 6 hours. They might only get 3 hours and then still need another English class. So that's where AP is still kind of a question mark. For speech, they need 3 hours of speech. They can do 1311 or 1315. Both of those we can give them high school speech credit for, even if they took 8th grade in Northwest and they have the professional communications credit. We can still give them a high school elective for it. So they can get that 3 hours by taking one of those 2 classes. I recommend 1311. Math. Notice over here, they only need 3 hours of college math for the core. If you're going to be a humanities major like I was, that's all the math you're ever going to take in college. If you're going to be an engineer or a science major, you're going to take more. So that depends. But for the college core, your basics, you only have to have 3. So you can do any combination, like you can do any one of these. You could do on-ramps college algebra, on-ramps calculus, on-ramps statistics, AP calculus, AP statistics. Any of those could get you that 3 hours. And you don't have to take all of them. We've got a lot of kids who take several of the math classes, and that's fine. But they don't have to take several. They only have to take 3 for college. You have to have 4 years for high school, but you only have to have 3 years of math for college, or 3 hours of math for college. Science is harder because right now it's almost impossible to get a dual credit science class. You can do on-ramps physics, but that only gets you 4 hours because again, your first semester you're qualifying, second semester you're getting credit for the class. We've got the AP science classes. Again, the number of hours you get and what credit it applies for depends on your score. And then these grades or these classes up here from TCC, does my pointer show? Like my
You can see your
cursor?
cursor moving. Uh-huh.
Okay, good. So these classes at the top are TCC classes, and right now students can't take them because of COVID. They're not doing the lab classes, and you know, it's almost impossible to get that 8 hours, but they're available for students to take. Arts 1301 gets you the 3 hours of art credit. It also counts for high school art, or they can do the AP arts classes. Language, culture, and philosophy, they could do Brit Lit or American Lit, Brit Lit 1 or American Lit 2, and that gets them a full year of English 4 credit, and it gets them their 3 years or 3 hours of college credit that they need. We do also have the AP French, German, Spanish classes that they could take to earn their college credit there. For American history, we've got 2 options. They can do on-ramps US history or AP US history. I get asked every year if we can do dual credit US history. We do dual credit US history at Steele Accelerated High School only. And the reason we do that is because the teacher at Steele that teaches it is a Northwest ISD teacher, and she teaches it during the school year, and we know she covers what has to be covered for the STAR test. So that's really why we can make sure that on-ramps and AP cover what's on the STAR test, but just a general dual credit class out there online, we can't make sure that that's covered. And since it's a state requirement for graduation, we don't want to let go of that one. Government, you need 6 hours. That's federal government and Texas government. I think I said that backwards. No, I didn't. And then behavior, you need 3 hours. Often our students do government, dual credit government and dual credit economics because they need government and economics for high school. And that gets them 3 hours up here and then all the 3 hours they need down here. But kids also like to take sociology and psychology. They just need to be aware that if they do that, they're taking more than the 3 hours they need. And anytime you go over what these say in the core, your college could say, no, we're not going to accept that credit. They only have to accept the core. So that's very, very important to remember. Before we move on, I want to jump back to this one. Oops. To this one, because I just want you to see it. I've talked through it basically, but I want you to see what it looks like. On this one, I've taken the AP out of it, but in blue next to each class, I've listed what the class counts as. So you can see On-Ramps College Algebra, it's a full year class. It counts as Algebra 2 and Algebra 2B. Math 13-14 can count as a full year of Algebra 2, or it can count as a semester of independent study. So it just kind of depends on when you take it and how you're applying it there. English 4, they can take Brit Lit 1 and get a full year of English 4 credit, or they can take American Lit 2 and get a full year of English 4 credit. The nice thing about that is it opens up the second semester for them to take another dual credit class if they want to, so they can get some additional dual credit hours. So it gives them a little bit of flexibility in there. So I definitely encourage you to look at both of those documents. This one with the classes on it is not in the course selection guide. The version that is in course selection guide just lists all of this without the classes on it. So our next slide is questions. So
Okay, Bobby, I've got some for you. So this is a clarifying question for on-ramps.
okay.
Okay, so you said that the first semester of on-ramps, they are qualifying for the college part in the second semester. Is there the possibility of them not qualifying for the college part second semester?
Yes. If they don't qualify for the college part, they can stay in the class and still get the quality on-ramps curriculum, and it's still good, but they can only get the high school credit for it. I mean, either way, they've paid for it, so they might as well stay in it. But for everything except for English and history, there's another mulligan built into on-ramps. If they don't qualify first semester, they can take the TSI math. And if they do well on the TSI math, that can qualify them. That, that's one of the pieces. I'm sorry. So like right now, I've got a few kids who didn't qualify based on their first semester of work in on-ramps, but they stayed in the course. So now I'm reaching out to them and saying, hey, why don't you take the TSI? Because if they can take the TSI and pass it before April, then they qualify for the college credit again. So, it does give them that second chance piece, but it is a possibility that they could take it and not qualify. That happens every year.
So another question, I think it has to do with that math strand, just kind of wondering about like calculus. So there's AP Calculus AB and there's Calculus BC. And a lot of kids will take AB 1 year and then BC. Some kids who are like super strong in math will skip over the AB part and just go straight into BC. And so the question is like, well, how do I get there? So if your student started middle school as a sixth grader and started with that on level, like traditional sixth grade math, then it's a little harder to get to calculus by the end of high school. That being said, a lot of times what we've seen happen is, students may be a little bit nervous about going to middle school and about doing that compacted math. So they sign up for sixth grade math and then they get in and they realize, oh, like I could totally rock the compacted math. I want to get on track for this honors math. So during the summer, they can take a credit by exam. And if they pass that test, then they can skip and go they can skip a math and then get on track to be in that honors math. So then they will have the opportunity to do both of those calculus classes if they want to later on. We've had quite a few people asking about like, well, what about summer school and opportunities for summer? That's another great way to, like, if you want to make up some lost ground. Now, we don't offer AP classes, and I don't think we do any dual credit stuff during the summer, do we,
You
Bobby?
can do dual credit during the
Okay.
summer, but you can't do on-ramps. But
Okay.
you could do some dual credit.
Okay. So,
That's usually where people are asking to do dual credit US history. And we
Okay.
have to say, nope, you can't do dual credit US history in the summer, but you could do English or math,
Yeah.
science, something like
and
that.
that's a great way. Like if you're thinking, well, I know I'm going to want to do like these things later on, or like there's a lot of electives or your kiddos in band, you know, and they want to free up space. Summer school is a good way to maybe free up some space. And I haven't heard anything yet about summer school for this summer. So I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like. We'll probably know, I would think, after spring break. But that is definitely, you know, something to think about, like, oh, I can do something this summer, free up a little space. And that means I can take this AP class I really want to take, you know, my junior year.
Yeah, on the math side, what you've got to keep in mind is the state of Texas requires that students take Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. And they've got to have 4 years of math. So that's 3 of their years of math. If they start that in high school, then all they have left is their senior year to choose a math. So they could choose pre-cal or on-ramps pre-cal or a dual credit class, but they're not going to be able to get to calculus because they just don't have time in their schedule. But if they take Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, then they can do pre-cal, you know, honors pre-cal in 11th grade, and they could do calculus in 12th grade. So like Audra said, there are some on roads and off roads for that. But it is a little bit more difficult, you know, just to make that transition in the math. But it's still possible. We would certainly work with you to try to make it happen. So
another great question is, and I love this question: if I take an AP class, do you have to take the AP exam? No, you don't. I mean, we would love for kids to have that experience, but it's not always necessary. And especially if a kiddo has that test anxiety I talked about earlier, then maybe just taking the class is enough. And you know, like this particular question was like, well, if they already have, kind of like your daughter, Bobby, like, well, she has AP Human, she has AP World History. You know, she's going to take APUSH next year, and she may not need the credit, but can she still take the class? And absolutely. And, you know, there's research out there that says that even a student who sits in an AP class, whether they take the test or not, they are already so much better prepared, not just to get into college, but to stay in college and be successful in college. So even just sitting in that AP class is going to, you know, prepare them and just help them be that successful.
Absolutely. You know, my daughter took AP English, but she didn't take her senior year, but she didn't take that AP exam because her SAT score was really good in English, and UT gave her English credit based on the SAT score. So that could happen as well. There's no reason for her to waste the money to take the AP test if she's already got the college credit, because it doesn't give her more college credit. It just costs a little bit more money. But yeah, like Audra said, research says that a student who sits in just one college credit bearing class, so that could be on-ramps, dual credit, or AP, if they sit through one dual credit or college credit bearing class, they are twice as likely to graduate from a 4-year college than if they don't sit in any of them. You know, that's huge. Taking just one class can make that big of a difference, because they get to hit that wall and they get to see what it's like when things get a little tough. You know, so that's huge. It helps them get through it.
Yes, I believe geometry is offered in summer school.
So,
Aren't most of the high school math classes usually offered in summer school?
yes, I believe so. I think that
if you have I know several of you on this call have your student is accelerated in math, and so they're actually 7th graders. As 7th graders, they're going to be taking Algebra 1. You know, Algebra 1 is typically a freshman class, but with our pre-AP honors program, 8th graders take Algebra 1, but we also have some accelerated students who are taking Algebra 1. And so for those kids, that means they'll take geometry as an 8th grader. They'll take algebra 2 as a freshman, and then pre-cal as a sophomore. And then that opens up really their junior and senior year to take both of those calculus classes, to take AP Stats, which I think is an underappreciated and undervalued math class. I think that one is really worth investigating taking. And then
Amen. We use statistics every day in our lives. And yet people think that it's not the math that they need, but we use it all the time. You can look at an election poll or something and you can see statistics all over it. So they need to understand it. I'm sorry, Audra, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And the other question is, and this is one I don't know the answer to because summer school is not really in my wheelhouse, but like, do you know, Bobby, do you remember like, because isn't it usually open after summer school? And that information usually comes from counselors, right? Middle school or high school, summer school information.
Yeah, it usually comes out from counselors and they put it in the Northwest announcements and on the webpage and stuff. Gosh, it's been a long time. So I was summer school principal it was like before Abraham left Ur of the Chaldees. It was so long ago. And things have changed, but they do start announcing it and they start really recommending it to students that are falling behind on their credits to, look into summer school, see what you can get to make up those credits. So right now, there's a form on the dual credit website. If they're interested in taking dual credit this summer, they can fill out that form and we will work with them to get their application done for TCC and get their TSI and everything ready so they can sign up for dual credit classes. So that's available right now. So definitely, if you've got a kid that wants to do some dual credit this summer, have them go there and get started on it.
Let's see. I think those might be all the questions. Y'all are like rock stars with these questions. So
y'all are asking great questions. Yes.
Very good questions. Yeah. Oh, if a student takes dual credit during the summer, are they still going through Northwest or are they going to go totally through Tarrant County College?
We will still work with them through it. They're going through the Northwest campus of Tarrant County College. So that gets kind of confusing too, since we're Northwest and we work with the Northwest campus. But we will still work with them for it if they're going to do dual credit, because our counselors have to know that they're taking the class. So we help them get signed up for it and make sure they're in the right space and that they're getting a class that they actually can get high school credit for. Because every year it happens, we've got a kid who goes rogue and they take a dual credit class on their own, and then they come back and they want high school credit for it. And it's not a class we can give them credit for. And, and then mom and dad are mad because they spent this money, and the kid is disappointed because now they still have to turn around and take the high school class that they thought they were getting out of. So let us work with you on that. If they'll fill out the form and tell us what they're interested in, Habiba and Melissa will reach out to them and get that ball rolling, and it starts to roll pretty fast. So have them jump on that pretty quickly. We will be doing a specific dual credit information night in it'll probably be early March before we can get to that, just because there are so many other Zooms. But I think early March, just before spring break, we'll do a dual credit information night that just talks about Tarrant County College and how to enroll and all of that. So definitely keep an eye out for that to be announced as well. So.
All right. I think those are all the questions in the chat. If somebody has one, you can also unmute yourself and ask it if you want to.
And I'm going to go back to the top so we can display our email addresses.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I have a quick question. When you were talking about the dual credit information night or session that will go out, will an email go out or will the counselors, because I will tell you, there's a lot of times I know, and it's great in high school that the counselors communicate with the students directly, and parents miss all the important information because the kids didn't think it was important. And so will that email go out to the parents, or will it be posted somewhere just so that we don't miss it?
So I always ask communications to post it on the district web, not web, the district Facebook page. So it will always be announced there. If you don't follow NISD on Facebook, I highly recommend it. I try to tweet it on the dual credit Twitter account also. So, definitely try to follow us there. And I send it to the principals and ask them to put it in their campus newsletter. Whether they do or not is kind of up to the principals, but I do ask them to. So I'm hoping they will. But yeah, I don't know of another way other than since I've added the online presentations link to the College and Career Readiness page, they'll all be listed there too. So you can go there to see a list of our upcoming Zoom sessions. So if you go there now, it's blank because they just added that page. So give me a few days, but it will be added on there. So.
No, that's absolutely perfect. Just the fact that I know that it's coming will make me aware of it so that I can definitely check, because I was going to be one of those parents that signed my child up for college courses this summer. And then I spoke to the counselor and she was like, wait, please talk to the College of Career, the Career and College Readiness department first, because we don't want you to waste your time. And had she not told me that, we could have wasted, our son's time and of course our money, because we're not in Tarrant County, we're in Denton County. It is much more expensive.
Mm-hmm. That is absolutely true. I'm so glad you were here tonight and we were able to answer some of those questions. And, really, I want to say to all of you, kudos to you for joining us at 6:30 at night. We went long. We went about 30 minutes longer than we expected. I'm sorry. That's the English teacher in me. I'm a talker, but man, y'all stuck with us. Kudos to you for that. You asked great questions and pushed us a little bit too to think. So I appreciate that more than I can even begin to express. So Audra and I will hang around here for a bit. If you've got some other questions, if you want to pop on, you're welcome to. But other than that, I think we're pretty much done. So we'll say goodbye. And again, thank you. Audra, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you. And totally, someone said earlier something about all the questions. We want the questions because it's hard. Y'all, raising kids is hard, and I don't even have kids. Like, I feel for y'all, but we are here for you guys. So do not hesitate to call or email or whatever, because it's not the time in which we grew up. It's really different. So we so happy to help out however we can.
Audra and I live in this world. We speak the language of AP dual credit on-ramps and stuff. But if you don't, sometimes the language of K-12 education is just educationese. It's just our language, and it can be confusing. It's confusing to those of us who live it. So if you don't, it definitely can be confusing. So let us help. Don't ever feel like you're putting us out to ask a question. That's what we do. That makes me feel like I am worthwhile. When you ask a question and I get to answer a question, I feel like, oh, I've done something.
Yes, I did something for a student or a parent today. Yay.
Yes. Otherwise, I'm usually thinking, I could be teaching English. I miss teaching English. But when you ask me a question, I feel valuable again. So do ask us questions.
For sure.
Audra, do you mind if I ask that question that I was?
Yeah.
So, hi, Bobby.
Hey.
So my son has gone down the GT math path. He's a 9th grader now, so he's in geometry. And so you said earlier that the on-ramps doesn't really prepare them for AP courses. So my concern, I'm liking the on-ramps. I was in that session the other night. I'm like, ooh, that sounds really appealing, but I also really want him to be prepared for the AP calculus following that. So do you recommend, especially let us state, it's not what he feels is his forte or his strength. It's definitely not his passion. So would you recommend not doing the on-ramps if he's going to do the AP Calc
So he's in geometry now
as a ninth grader.
as a ninth grader. So he's looking at algebra 2 for next year.
Yes.
So my suggestion is on-ramps algebra 2. He will get the chance to earn math 13-14, so college algebra credit
Right.
for it. And then his junior year, he could jump out and do honors pre-cal to help prepare him for
Okay.
calculus.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well,
So-
and that, I'm glad you asked that, Joanna, because that brings up a good point. Like, you're not locked into, oh, I'm doing on-ramps algebra 2, so I have to keep doing on-ramps.
Right.
It is important. You do want to look at, well, what are the prereqs for the next class, and kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, you can definitely like move.
Jump out.
Mhm.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Well,
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
So my daughter's in ninth grade, and I work at TCC, so I guess I get a discount for family members. So anyway, that's what I was thinking. But
Yeah, I believe you do.
yeah, so I told her about that. But there's the three choices, obviously, and you just said, if I think I heard you right, is the dual credit does not have a face-to-face teacher? Is that
Dual
what I heard you?
credit has a face-to-face teacher for math at for college algebra at Eaton and Byron Nelson.
Okay.
But at the other campuses, it's an online. And it's just because our numbers are low right now, and we need to have at least 15 students for them to send a teacher to
Okay.
our campuses. So as we grow the program, I definitely see within the next few years, we will start having face-to-face classes. But then, of course, right now, everything's online anyway. So, I think our kids are getting better at online. And TCC is really good at online learning. If you are frustrated with some of the online experiences you've had with your high school classes, I don't think you would experience that with your TCC classes, because they've been doing it forever, and they've got it down. So.
And on-ramps is strictly online?
On-ramps is it's actually a blend. The dual credit side of it, the college side of it, is online. They work in Canvas for that. But then the other part is face-to-face. But when COVID hit, on-ramp was perfectly ready to switch to all online for that setting, because all of their curriculum is already housed in Canvas. Even the curriculum that they're using for high school is there. And I believe TCC is switching over to Canvas as well. So
Right.
that'll be nice, because then the kids will have even more experience with that learning management system. So.
Okay. And last question. So GPA wise, so she's going to go to Charlton, which is obviously a Texas public school. So is that 10%? Like, she's like at 9% right now, I believe. So with the new scores that just came out. So is that
So top 10%.
the new ranking? New
yeah.
ranking, sorry.
No, top 10% get automatic admissions to all Texas public colleges, except Audra, it's UT that requires top 6%. And was there one other?
Ooh, I think it's just Texas.
It may just be UT that's the
Yeah.
top 6%. And for them, it's just because the numbers are so huge that they can't afford to have to take the top 10%.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to take anybody else.
So as far as the dual credit and on-ramps, is that, I got confused on the weighted.
Oh, okay. They're weighted equally. Dual credit, on-ramps, and AP are all weighted equally.
Okay,
So
perfect.
they'll all get her the level 7
Okay.
weighting.
Okay, good.
Hey,
That was-
Bobby, oh, sorry, the last on-ramps meeting you had, was that recorded, and are you posting it on the webpage as well?
It was recorded. I do hope to post it on the webpage.
Okay.
It saved on my Mac here at home instead of, which this one will do that also. So I've got to figure that out, because
Okay.
I work in the world of Windows all day, and then I come home and I get on a Mac, and it's like suddenly I'm working with my left hand. And so I've got to figure out how my Mac works. So
Okay. All right. And then we had a question about the on-ramps algebra 2, and I answered it, but I'm hoping I answered it correctly. What is the purpose of taking on-ramps algebra 2? I thought colleges really only use calculus. And my response was, I think it really depends on the major in the college, depending on what math they are going to need you to take, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
College algebra is a lot of times considered by STEM degree programs as the developmental math type class. But for a humanities, college algebra might be the only math you ever need. So that really is the plus there. I would say that if the college wants calculus, even having college algebra just builds your ability to do well in that calculus class. So even if that's the only one they're going to take and add to the degree, it still might help you do better. But definitely that's one of those where it's really an individual decision.
Right. And it sounds like that we've helped people know there are options other than AP. So that's exciting. Yeah, definitely choice is nice because it gives,
Absolutely.
people room to do what's right for them. And I think
All
that's
right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for hanging out with us tonight.
yeah, and stay warm. Ooh,
Yes.
outside.
Pray for
Unless you
snow.
have to.